Now, there are spaces in between mine, and you would see why you have spaces as you work on your own sheet. If the currency it sees on this line matches the currency name at the top, and for the neutral, bullish, bearish, and the rest indicators we have here, it's just a calculator method. So welcome back to another day of the dashboard creation. And prior to today, we had discussed about the news data input page along with the data cleaner and the news page. The news page is all about finding the individual news, its rank, whether it's bullish or bearish, it actually is greater than forecast or previous, the type of news, its rank, and then the indicator rank. The cleaner page is for you to clean up the data when you pick it out of investing.com. The input page, this is the backbone of calculations, as well as the news page. This is where every single calculation is actually really done. And now we will be discussing the currency page. This page is the same page all through the way till USD. And all you just do is duplicate and edit some small changes. Now let's head into it. The very first thing you want to do for this page is you want to be able to pull out every news that has to do with that specific currency, and you would label the top of the page with the currency or market you're looking at. Now in this case we have AUD, and what you want to do is you want to use the filter page which we created in the last video. The filter page is something that is very easy for you to make changes, and it's something you use to redefine or rather view the specific news related to a currency that has ever been released. So when you switch to AUD in this case, for personal news, I like to just use the AUD. You can see what we did the first time was we just did a filter of all the news and AUD related news. Then we took out the words in brackets, and then we created the unique sets of news. And you can see for AUD, normally we have a total of 347 entries. Out of 347 entries, removing the what is it called? The brackets, and then looking at what each specific news, we actually have 43 sets of news events constantly repeated over a period of time. So this 43 sets of news events is what you take and put into the very first column here. So you could design your Excel. It's simple to design this whole page. All you just do is you first put in event filter, you put in date and days away. Now the reason why you want to use this days away is you want to be able to measure how far away was this news released from today. That is what the days away is. Now after this, all you need to do is you come back to your input page and you collect events, and then everything from actual to the very end, that is on the way till points, and you put it right here. So events, actual, all the way till points. This is points right here. Now the dashboard at the top is a dashboard that does the cumulative calculation, which is addition of all the points gotten and addition of all the indicator rank. This is how we determine the strength or weakness of a particular set of news. First thing you want to do, like I said, is get the exact unique news. In this case, these are 43 sets of news for AUD. You can see it's 43 on my own end. You want to take all 43 news and put it here. Now, there are spaces in between mine, and you would see why you have spaces as you work on your own sheet. When you do this, you want to bring out the latest date. That is, this particular news, the latest date release of this particular news from the news page. And to do that, what you do is you use the formula max if. So this formula is supposed to bring out the maximum number if all the criteria is met. Now the maximum number here, date is usually registered as numbers in Excel. So yeah, the maximum number is obviously the last date that particular news was released. So it's more like a VLOOKUP with a if condition. So VLOOKUP if, or XLOOKUP if, or HLOOKUP if. It's just like a lookup with a if condition, but this time for numbers, maximum number available. So you want to select the max range, which is the date. Obviously, that's the date we want to, is the max range we're looking for. Then the criteria range is that the event name, right? This event name we have here must be the same event name on the Q column. So it must be the same event name we have here, right? And then when it sees that event name, it should also make sure that the currency, right? The currency, it's in particular, because commodity price could be for numerous currency, right? So it should also make sure that the currency it finds, the currency is found. In this case, you're going to highlight the currency line here. And then the currency is looking for in particular must be the one in this heading. So this is how to make it easier for you. Instead of you having to retype the formula over and over again, you just put it in here. Now, with this all done, you've gotten your latest date for all the news. Now, another thing you will notice is, something you'll quickly notice is, you will be seeing some of them showing as spill. They won't show you spill yet. They would stay the way they are. They won't show you a spill yet. So what you do next is this. So on your days away, you are going to use a formula to say days away, right? Days away. Now the days away is going to be if, right? If this space is blank, right? So if is blank, right? If the date is blank, what it does is it simply returns, the date above, right? The number of days above, and you'll see why in a minute. While if it's not blank, it's going to say today minus the date we have here. So every time you open your Excel, you notice every day you open your Excel, you notice that this number increases by 1 unless a new news appears, and the number automatically resets to 0. So like today right now, you can see I have not added any news, and today is 13th. There's no new news, and you can see this was 3 days away, and that was on 10th. If you count it behind, on Friday. So this news was released on Friday. And the reason why we need this is to be able to create closer time frame dashboard. And as you can see here, this 14 days is basically only filtering for things that are not up to 14 days away. So the moment something goes beyond 14 days away, it leaves the calculation for this dashboard and becomes obsolete. It just remains with the overall view of the entire currency. So you could make yours maybe 2 days, 3 days. If you're a day trader, you could make it 2 days a day, 3 days, recent 3 days, recent 2 days, and instantly you get to see the changes that's happening within the last set of time you have in your setup. Now, to get the rest of this is actually one formula that pulls out every single thing I see here. And the formula is not complex. What just makes it a bit complex is the statement at the beginning. But basically, it's the same filter formula we had used all this while for this place. The only difference now is, because I do not want to return all the information, that is everything just the way it is, which is going to bring back this column 1, 2, 3, which we ended up converting. I didn't want to do all of that. What I did was I used another new formula called choose columns. So after you do the filter formula, which is you're going to select the range. The array you want to look out for is all the way from events till points. Like I said, all the way from events till points, right? That's what you want to filter. And what you're going to say is you're going to tell it should look for, first and foremost, the currency. If the currency it sees on this line matches the currency name at the top, that's one. And then if the event name, now this same event name here, this individual event name here, matches the name at the very end. Now you can see there are two different event names here. There's an event name filter and there's an event name. So if it matches the event filter, why are we using the event filter? Well, if you are trying, this way we can bring out the very last event name we're saying. This way we can also be able to tell if the calculator is making mistakes. Because for example, if we're just going straight with commodity prices, we don't know if it was September's or it is looking at the wrong month. That is why we want to also see the event it is returning from this formula. So you want to apply that same thing. What you will notice it's going to be about 3 to 5 columns longer in your case. Then you apply the choose columns. So the columns you want is column 1. You can see I skipped 2, 3, 4. And if you count from here, you count it, you're going to have, this is column 1, this is 2, 3, 4. So I don't want it to return 2, 3, 4. Hence, I skipped 2, 3, 4. So 1, 3, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you also notice I skipped number 10. Okay, I added number 10 here. I normalized it. You can skip number 10 in your case. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you brought every single thing that matters. When you do all of that, you have all your setup properly done now. And you'd see it apply all the way to the bottom. Now, this is where you end up seeing the spill formula. So for example, let me delete this line. So you see spill formulas like this. Now, when you see spill like this, it means that this particular thing has, this news called CPI has more than one news available for it on this same day. So what you simply do is you go below this line, right below it, and you just insert a column. If you insert one and you're still seeing spill, it means that there are actually two more. Instead of there are three informations, not two. So that way you include it and then you insert a new one to get the other ones out. As you can see, CPI is released on 30th, and they had the quarter over quarter and year over year release, and both of them have different sentiments. One is bearish, one is neutral, and they are both lagging indicators. So all those nuances are things you should pay attention to. Now, to create the overall dashboard, what you do is this. So over here, you just want the sum of all the indicator rank. So you just adding up every single thing that exists on this line. That's just it. You say sum everything on this line. That is for the overall. Now for the leading, you need to do a sum with conditions. So it's going to be a sum if. So it's going to sum up all. First and foremost, the range is, it's going to look at this type, the type range here. If the type, it's going to first look at the type. If the type matches the type name you have here, in this case, you're going to have to write the leading, coincident, and lagging. So if it has the same name, so basically what it's doing is it's filtering for everything that is leading. In this case, we have leading. So what it did is it's filtered for leading, and then it will sum up all the things that are leading. So the actual indicator is supposed to be 47 points in total. Now, you apply the same formula here, but this time on the other side, you are trying to get the total points it gets. So if it's positive, you're getting all the plus, and if it's negative, that is going to be negating itself from the remaining ones. So if you look at it, the total sum I have here, look down here, you see the sum is -6, and it's exactly the same answer we have here. Now you're going to apply the same formula all the way down. It's just going to repeat itself, this time taking account of this and this instead. For the strength, this is where it gets a bit tricky. Now for the strength, you need to apply a formula whereby you can see that I'm having negative numbers here. So if I say this negative number divided by this, I will end up having very, very terrible view of what the actual strength is. Now my strength is a strength weight of degree of positive rather than if it is positive or negative. What do I mean by degree of positive? So what I simply mean is if something is below 50, if something is at 50, it means it's neutral. It is not so bullish. If something is at 20, it is 20% bullish, meaning it is bearish. If something is at 75, it means it is 75% bullish, meaning it is very bullish. Hence, this formula is just a degree of bullishness. So the degree of strength, that is why I call it strength, not a strength in terms of how weak or how strong. It's more of how strong alone. So to get this, what you do is I used a let formula, which is a way for me to create numbers of formulas and just give them names, and then apply the formula at the end by using those names instead of rewriting the formula over and over and over again. So what I did here is the very first formula, I called it range. And range is just, I'm taking a look at B3, in this case, the indicator, the total indicator rank, minus, we open the bracket and say minus again open bracket, and say B3, close bracket, close the bracket. So what this is all doing basically is, because there's a range here, it can either be positive 235 or negative 235, meaning you can end up having 235, I'll just write it up here, negative 235 all the way to positive 235. It means I have a total range of, if you add up those two numbers together, you say this plus this, you would be getting 0 if you negate it. However, if you say absolute of the first number plus the absolute, meaning you're trying to get the number without the negative sign and the positive sign, right? You end up having a total range of 470. So if something is at 235, negative 235, it would be 0. And if something is at positive 235, it would be 100% for me. That is exactly what I was trying to replicate here. And to do that, I have to make sure if a number is negative, it falls into a proper range rather than being negative. So for example, you can see C3 is negative, that is negative 19. If you highlight the entire formula, what you see is 216. So it turns it into just below 235. Again, the range is this, negative 235 all the way to 0, all the way to positive 235. And using 216 means it is here, but it is closer to 0 than it is closer to negative 235. So that's what this formula is all about. It converts this into a proper range. So when it converts this into a proper range, I can then see this total, the range, or rather shifted range points, divided by the total amount it's supposed to be. Hence, for in this case, I'm having two. Let me show you what I mean. So in this case, I'm having 216, right? So it's going to be, this became 216, and this becomes 470. So it's going to be 216 divided by 470. And you can see, if I convert this to points and increase it a bit, you can see I get the exact amount I have here. So that's exactly what this whole formula is all about. And unlike the first one where you had to do coincident and reds, going below here, you just need it. It's the same thing. Now for the neutral, bullish, bearish, and the rest indicators we have here, it's just a calculator method. It's actually very simple. This is what the formula is all about. So formula is this. So if the strength we are saying here is between 0% to 20%, meaning it's kind of closer to negative 230, extremely close, it is very bearish, sorry, meaning the strength is too weak. If it is between 20% to 40%, then we'll call it bearish. Now, you see the first one was very bearish, the second one is just bearish. Now, if it is between 40 to 60%, meaning it is closer, it is just somewhere around the middle, we'll call it neutral. If it is between 60% to 80%, I would call it bullish. And then when it is between 80% to 100%, it is very bullish. So that is what this formula here is all about. And same thing applies for this. So all you just do when you copy this, you're just going to copy this and paste it here again. Now this time you don't paste as value, you just paste. Now to make it limit itself to 14 days count, all you need to do this time is edit the formula here and here, nothing else. And to do that, all you simply do is this time you'd say sum if. Remember the first sum if we did was simply just for the type also, right? It was simply for the type. The very first one we did, the overview, we just summed everything. Here we're going to sum with sum if from the beginning. So the sum if is if the number here, which is the days away, is less than 14. So less than and 14. That way the system reads as less than 14. If you write less than 14 just like that, it won't be able to calculate properly. So this is how you write it, less than and 14. And then you write the range, which is the L range. So that is what you did here. Same thing with this other one, but this time, you're going to be having two sums. So it's not going to be some if, it's going to be some ifs, because you have like more conditions for it to do. Now, unlike the sum if condition, this one, you actually put in the range you want to add first before you start to work on it. So put in the range, which is in this case, I'm looking at indicator rank. So I want to add up the indicator rank. I'll be summing all the indicator rank. If the very first thing is if the range, which is the date aways, is less than less than and 14, meaning less than 14 days. Also, if the type of news is equal to the selected news I have here. So I'll simply pull down that formula and apply the same logic to to the total points. This way it can count only the points for 14 days. Now, just to show you what I mean, I'm going to show you by removing everything that is not up to 14. We're going to select everything here that is showing less than 14. And then we're going to say, let's look for only the leading. We would add up all the leading indicators. Now, you can see the total leading indicators range is 31. As you can see down here, 31, and over here, we currently got 31. And then the sum of the points is actually -6, which, as you can see down here, is -6. Up here is also -6, meaning we are accurate and correct. So just like this, we have made the very first currency monitor. Now, to make the rest is actually extremely simple. So all you just do is you're going to duplicate this sheet, meaning you're just going to copy the sheet and paste it, or move on copy. You create a copy and you press OK. When you create a copy, all you're simply going to do, right? All you're going to do is you're going to notice everything is going to be in shambles again. You simply change the name up here to fit the new name, right? It's going to fit the new name. You will not need to touch any of this anymore. The only thing you will just do is edit the range to make sure the range contains every single day you're looking for. And then you're going to go back to the filter page, make sure you're selected on the new currency, which is in this case Canadian dollar, and you're going to collect the individual unique news. Come back here and paste that individual unique news, and you'll see magic start to happen immediately. A lot of them are just going to immediately pop up and start showing up. Now, take notes, because AUD is about 57 and this is about 53. Everything is going to show. But when you get to something like the US dollar, right, the US has a lot of news. As you can see, let me just show you something right here. When you get to something like the US dollar, because there are a lot more than the US dollar, you see the US dollar has 160 unique events, which is way more than 57 we have here. So by the time you get to something like the US dollar or even the euro that has a lot more than that, 57. Is it the euro, Swiss franc, the British pound? Or the British pound, yeah. You can see what I was saying about the British pound having some things that require more than one entry, one cutoff. In this case, I'm having unnecessary spaces here. So some news are actually like 3, 4, 3, 4. You can see a lot of them have like double callouts, double news, right? Double news. So when you get to something like this, when you paste it and the date comes out, the days away come out, the event starts to show up, you're going to start seeing this peel again. And all you just have to do is insert, you are inserting rows, just insert rows for all of them like that until all of them are done. And everything, voila, is working fine. The only thing you're going to do here is you're going to have to come to this page and adjust, unless you are going to put this dashboard maybe on the side here, or maybe this table itself is going to be on the side. That way you can highlight the entire line easily. For me, I put it directly under, so I have to select a range rather than a colon. And then when you do all of this, you're virtually done with everything that has to do with currency at this point. So I think at this point, you already know every single thing that requires to be done. The only thing left is the overall dashboard collection. This is the same thing as the 14 days dashboard collection. I'll show you how to do this in the next video. Peace.